My girlfriend died. It was an unfortunate accident. She slipped down a flight of stairs. My phone is continuously flooded with messages from worried friends. I thought I'd be able to see her every day. I took that for granted. I wasn't able to do anything for her. I couldn't accept that my girlfriend was no longer in this world. That's why I haven't gone to school for the past 4 days. That's what everyone thinks happened. But the truth is, I killed her. I lay on my bed, relieved that I was finally free now that my girlfriend was gone. I could finally live a normal life again. I could say what I wanted, keep my curtains closed, and go out whenever I wanted without being questioned. Back then, I had no idea that things would turn out this way. It all started when I dropped my eraser and my classmate picked it up for me. This classmate was Sara, the cutest girl at our school. I blushed and thanked her while stuttering. Sara smelled like flowers. She had long eyebrows that matched perfectly with her round eyes, and with her voice, she certainly captivated not only me but all the boys around her. That's why, never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined Sara confessing her feelings to me. When I realized that this wonderful girl would be my girlfriend, my head was in the clouds. Until that day, at least. I soon realized that something was wrong with Sara as we dated. I saw her stalking me, bombarding my cell phone with messages, and even planting a recording device in my room. So when I had enough, I decided to confront her. I've had enough. You follow me everywhere, and you even installed listening devices. How could you put a GPS tracker on me without my consent? You even pointed a knife at me. What the fuck do you want from me?
What do I want from you? Well, you have me, and I would do anything for you. So, you don't need anything else, right? You know I check where my wallet is every half hour. It's the same as that. You'd get anxious if something important went missing, right? Do as I say, and I won't hurt you, okay?
I can't fall asleep without sleeping pills because of you. I'm really going to report you to the police if you keep doing this. So just break up with me.
Never. I'll never break up with you, even if I am dead.
I felt chills in my bones. Terrified, I shoved Sara away, causing her to slip on the stairs and fall. I quickly fled the scene as soon as I could. Luckily for me, there were no witnesses. The police ruled out the possibility of foul play, and her death was announced as an accident. Thinking I could finally live in peace, I planned to go out alone today, but I quickly dismissed the idea since I was now the center of attention and needed to act sad. But my peace was quickly interrupted.
How about a date with me?
A date. Startled, I quickly got up sweating and questioned why Sara was in front of me right now. She didn't reply. She only looked at me and started to grin. Didn't you die?
That sounds like a line from a movie script. I did die. I don't have any feet. See?
Sweating, I asked if Sara was a spirit. She confirmed it.
I love you too much, so I came to see you.
I quickly left the room, grabbed salt from my pantry, and scattered it towards Sara. She started squirming around. But all of this was ineffective.
Salt won't get rid of me. You're just making a mess.
Shut up. Do you know what I had to live with all this time? Sara only looked at me with a hint of shame and replied that she kind of knew. I crashed out and told her that because of her, my mental health was in ruins. I woke up every morning terrified and was even scared to meet and talk to other people. I then asked Sara if, even in death, she was still going to make me feel that way. With a gloomy expression, she apologized.
I'm sorry for that. I really am. But I am still yours. Even if you push me away, hate me, or kill me, I will still love you despite all that. I don't care that you are a murderer.
I looked confused at what Sara had just said. Floating through the cabinet, Sara told me that since physics no longer applied to her, she could finally accompany me everywhere, on the toilet or even in the bath. Sara couldn't help but get excited. Terrified by the thought, I clenched my fist. Nearing my limit, I admitted that it was my fault what happened to her and begged her to just leave me alone. Sara replied, startling me, explaining that she was not haunting me of her own free will. I dropped the salt I was holding in shock. Sara then continued her explanation. She told me that if she could move on to the other world, she would have already. Since she still had regrets about this world, she couldn't move on. Sara then told me that if I wanted her to go away, I had to make sure she had no regrets left. My knees gave out, and I knelt on the floor because of this news. All I could do was question reality. I was seeing spirits, but the far more terrifying phenomenon was floating before my eyes. The thought that I couldn't break up with Sara even after her death. I then asked how I could fulfill her regrets.
Well, you see, I have a request for you. You killed me after all. The least he could do is hear me out.
I was sweating. This talk reminded me of my scary encounter with Sara last time. Out of fear and instinct, I shoved her away for a second time. But all that did was pass right through her. With a mocking expression, Sara went even closer to me.
Too bad you can't touch me. I'm a spirit, so you can't kill me again. If you want to break up with me so badly, then you have no choice but to listen. Okay, my Mr. Murderer?
All I could do was sigh and agree to listen to Sara's regrets. And you know what they say, beggars can't be choosers. Later in the afternoon, Sara was excited about our date. She told me to speak up and talk to her, but I refused and said that no one could see her. It'd be weird if I started talking to myself. Sara, while floating and spinning in the air, told me that there was this place she always wanted to go. I followed her and thought about everything that had happened so far. If I was going to be stuck with her even in death, I'd rather listen to her and help her move on. That is why I was out here fulfilling her requests. I was prepared for the worst, but the request turned out to be just a date. And we were here, a cafe. I told her that this cafe was no different from the one down the street. But Sara had heard that in this specific cafe, the shortcakes were very delicious. Looking at Sara's excitement, I thought that if she was like this, she looked like any other ordinary girl. The bell chimed as we entered, and a waitress greeted me, asking if the seat was for one. I looked at the excited Sara awkwardly and said yes. The waitress then guided me to my seat. Our order arrived, coffee and a shortcake. I asked if this was what she wanted to eat. I wasn't a fan of sweets. Sara assured me that this was what she wanted, because she had heard that the cream on this cake wasn't just your average whipped cream. I then told Sara that she couldn't eat it, but she told me that it was fine, and only asked me what I thought about the taste. I took a bite and said it tasted like a regular shortcake, but was tasty. Sara was shocked. She couldn't believe it. She told me that all men must have a dull sense of taste. Frustrated, Sara asked me to give her some, telling me to feed her. Maybe then she would be able to taste it. I muttered that if I did that, I would look like a weirdo. Sara told me that this was part of her request, too. I reluctantly complied and forked a piece of cake to feed Sara. She moved her hair to the side and took a bite, but it only went through her. Sara smiled, making me pause for a second.
I guess it really doesn't work.
Sara looked sad. This was the first time we had spent a day like this. I had sensed something was wrong with her ever since we started dating. Sara always had a smile on her face, so it caught me by surprise to see her frown. Our date finally concluded as Sara complimented the cafe for its really nice atmosphere. She was glad we had gone together. I had never responded to her messages when she was alive, so she hadn't invited me. I apologized. Sara forgave me because all of it was in the past now. It felt so strange. Was Sara always normal? In my mind, Sara had been a stalker who always kept tabs on me. But right now, I truly thought that Sara was cute. I quickly dismissed that idea because I felt I didn't have a right since I was the one who killed her. While walking back home, Sara said something serious to me.
Hey, you know I knew I stood out in school when I was alive. That's why I thought other girls would have their eyes on you because of me. I also wanted to spend my days normally, in tranquility like this. I'm really sorry for what I've done.
This was the first time I heard her true feelings. No, I'd never asked before. Back then, I was desperately trying to protect myself instead of working together as a couple, talking and trying to fix our relationship. I then started to think that maybe it was my fault all along and that maybe I overthought everything. I then asked Sara if she hated me. Sara smiled and told me that if we could go on dates like this, then she was glad that she died. She had one more request for me.
Please don't turn yourself in, because I'm not mad at you for killing me.
Sara said that with a smiling face. My guilt began to rise. I was in a state of denial. See, Sara says it's not your fault either. You don't need to feel guilty. Sara was a stalker. If I made one wrong move, she might have killed me. I did nothing wrong. But then I remembered Sara's sad expression back at the cafe. I wondered if I really did nothing wrong. After that, all of Sara's requests were things that most couples do. She didn't show any stalking behavior anymore. She was just an ordinary, cute girlfriend. The only thing that made her different was that she was dead. When I returned to school, there was a vase full of flowers on Sara's desk. Someone changed the water every day. No one at school knew that she is a stalker, and it was obvious that she was loved by our classmates. Back then, I had no idea why I was so scared of her. Maybe it was because she couldn't physically harm me now. The class ended, and Sara asked me if I wanted to go home. On the way home, I asked what Sara wanted for her birthday. She was shocked that I remembered her birthday. In the background, people were whispering about me. From their perspective, I was just talking to thin air. Sara then said that anything was fine since she was already happy that I remembered her birthday. But I said that wouldn't do. Sara then started blushing and thinking. She told me that she wanted to hold my hands. She added that we could just place them together without actually touching. I agreed and started sticking out my hands. Sara was happy with just that. Her expression changed with such a trivial action from me. Even though she'd never be able to touch my hands, she was satisfied with just pretending to be my girlfriend. I started crying. Sara, worried, asked me what was wrong and why I was crying. I continued to cry, blaming myself for why Sara could only pretend to hold my hand. On the rooftop, Sara asked me why I was not in class. I replied with, "Yeah." Sara then told me that it was rare for me to skip class, but I once again replied with, "Yeah." She got angry and told me that I was only answering with, "Yeah." I then asked if spirits could touch each other. A confused Sara answered my question. I couldn't see other spirits, but Sara, from time to time, bumped into those who hadn't moved on. I thought for a second and started climbing the rooftop fence. Sara, worried, shouted at me and told me that what I was doing was dangerous. On the ledge, I called her name and apologized for not being able to hold her hand on her birthday. Sara, sweating profusely, stopped me and told me that she didn't care about that. I added that no matter the reason, I couldn't live with myself knowing that I had killed another. I couldn't come off the sleeping pills even after she died. In fact, I had to take more. It wasn't Sara's fault that I was suffering. It was my own. I didn't listen to your feelings and I felt relieved that you died back then. I'll never forgive myself for thinking that way. I can't save you by turning myself in. But I don't think I can live with this guilt either. I finally understand it now. Sara, you didn't do anything wrong. It was my fault. I didn't consider your feelings. If I die, surely you could move on too. I'm sorry that your boyfriend was someone like me. Sara, terrified by what was about to happen, called me and asked me to wait. She tried to grab me, but her hands went right through me. On the ground, I stared at my lifeless body. In the end, I turned into a spirit much faster than I expected. Sara hugged me from behind, crying. I looked at Sara's crying face and smiled. I patted her head and apologized for making her sad. But now she could finally move on. There was no reason for her to stick around me anymore.
But you didn't need to feel guilty. I was happy just being around you. There are so many things you can't do anymore, like when you were alive. You know?
This is fine. It's the only way I can pay for my sins. Yeah, I'm the idiot that died for you.
Yes, you're such a big idiot. I'm really surprised.
I felt a chill in my bones as I processed what was happening.
Aren't I good at acting? Now, I can touch you all I want, yay.
Wait, what? Sara got close to my face and started grinning. I was still speechless and scared. It seemed that I had walked right into Sara's trap.
Oh? Are you surprised? I was waiting for you to die this whole time. It's true that I liked living with you, but it's meaningless if I can't touch you. I couldn't kill you or throw objects at you, so I thought hard about other ways to lead you to your demise. I couldn't come up with anything other than suicide. I filled you with guilt so that you would eventually walk toward your death, which is exactly what you did.
My heart started to beat frighteningly fast. I felt hopeless.
Oh, what's wrong? Cat got your tongue?
What? You tricked me?
You went ahead and killed yourself? I didn't ask you to. If you're going to be haunted by something as retarded as guilt, then your dumbass shouldn't have killed me. But I guess that's what's cute about you. What's done is done. You said I didn't do anything wrong, right? Then that makes everything your fault. Now we're together again. You'll be stuck with me in the same realm for all eternity.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.